Hello everyone, welcome back to Canada's Boxing Channel. I'm pleased to report that my man cold seems to be being held off, which, as you know, if you're a man, is a challenge in and of itself. You'll also know, if you're a man, that there's very little sympathy from one's domestic team leader when one speaks about a man cold. Women are not the most understanding of creatures. They don't understand the challenges that we have to face in dealing with such a significant ailment. Perhaps actually if Dubois had said he had a man cold, we would have all immediately been both empathetic and sympathetic. Anyhow, let's move on. Earlier on today, we saw the press conference announcing the Johnny Fisher, Dave Allen 2 rematch, which is to be held at the Copper Box in the UK, though Eddie Hearn keeps calling it the Copper Bosch, which is clearly some reference to Johnny Fisher and that whole Bosch thing, which I must confess I'm not entirely familiar with. The other thing that was sort of incongruous was that it was called a press conference, but I did not hear one question from the good and the great that were assembled there as media folks. So, anyways, that's a conversation that was for another day. I liked the press conference for what it was. There was no trash talking, and as you know, I'm not really big into trash talking unless it's very, very funny, well-delivered one-liners. I often think Ricky Gervais would have made a fabulous boxer from the perspective of trash talking, though he would have probably been quite shite in the ring, which doesn't seem to stop people from getting fights. If you're a good trash talker, you're often able to get fights. Anyhow, Eddie Hearn was the master of ceremonies, the only promoter involved, and he displayed a little bit of, I think, bias towards Johnny Fisher, but since Johnny Fisher is his one of his rising stars, certainly one of his very few heavyweights, that's understandable. And he was respectful, of course, to Dave Allen, who he's known for a long, long time. Eddie started off by asking each of the trainers to speak. Jamie Moore spoke rather eloquently about Dave Allen, about how Dave Allen is apparently as fit now as he was the day of the first fight in Riyadh, running at about 60% of sort of maximum ability. Dave Allen had not had a full camp prior to the first fight, and he said that Dave Allen had taken, after the fight, a couple of weeks off over Christmas, and then he was back in the gym, and so he's probably about the same as he was. He's the same today as he was when he had that first fight. And with the fight scheduled for May the 17th, this gives him plenty of time to improve. And Jamie Moore is quite certain that that his fighter, Dave Allen, will be better trained, with a better engine, and just better all round. He did, very charitably, acknowledge that he also expected the opponent, Johnny Fisher, to be better. The tenor of this whole press conference was really quite respectful. It was a throwback to the days of real sportsmen who are prepared to give it all in the ring, but are sportsmanlike outside of the ring. And so for a fan like me, this is the kind of thing that I like to watch. There wasn't a single cuss word used. There was no rudeness or anything like that. Just, fellows who are opposing each other and obviously wanting to do their best and determined to put on a good show, professional heavyweights, but there was nothing personal or nasty at all, which is, again, like I say, perfect for someone like me. Mark Tibbs spoke. He's, of course, the trainer for Johnny Fisher, and he's certain his fighter won the first time round, absolutely certain. But recognizes that a rematch is in order because some people do think it was close. Dave Allen, when he spoke, really said a number of things. How he's overall been tired of being thought of as a joke by people, that he has a lot of experience, that he has been in the ring as a sparring partner with all of the world champions for the last 10, 15 years, that he's got this depth of experience, having fought, higher caliber opponents than Johnny Fisher. He recognizes that he was, gassed out in the first fight. And in fact, when he was questioned about does he wish that he'd put his foot on the pedal when he got Johnny Fisher on Queer Street, he said, "Look, my foot was on the pedal. I had nothing left to give." So he recognizes that. He was very complimentary about Johnny Fisher. He's very self-deprecating when he speaks. He said, "Look, Johnny Fisher and I could fight for 10 times, and they'd all be close fights." He said, "Look, I'm not a superstar, and neither is Johnny Fisher, at least not yet." So recognizing that Johnny Fisher has a longer career horizon ahead of him than Dave Allen, does. He said that he feels very young. He said he feels younger than before, and that it's a sort of like a new lease on life. He's very, very happy. He's got his family. Apparently his children were in the audience. He brought them with him today. So he's a very happy, content fighter. And he's also showed a degree of maturity, of course, when he was asked about the first fight. He said, "Look, it is what it is. I'm not going to appeal it. I didn't score it round by round. I'm the fighter in the ring." There was none of this sort of, I was robbed, I want my revenge sort of nonsense that we've seen other fighters speak about. Again, very respectful, just a solid, workmanlike, professional demeanor on display. When Johnny Fisher spoke, Johnny Fisher said a number of things that were interesting. He did say that he didn't feel he was fully switched on in the first fight, that he'd somehow been lulled into being like a Mr. Nice guy, and that he wasn't going to fall into that trap. He said it was like subconscious. He wasn't making an excuse. He said, subconsciously maybe I wasn't fully switched on. He also said that his ear got damaged in the second round and he was a bit wobbly throughout the rest of the fight. That wasn't going to happen this time. He did say that Dave Allen couldn't put him away last time, so there's no way he's going to be able to put him away this time. Johnny Fisher seemed to have a little bit more vinegar or spite, possibly, in his words than we've heard from him before. He's certain he won the fight, but he said he wouldn't take an issue with somebody who said it was close. And he said, whenever people are successful, whether you buy a new car or put a deposit on a house or buy a new dog, people are always going to try and tear you down. But he's certain that he won the fight and that this time it's going to be, much clearer. He did say that he derives a great deal of support, from the enthusiastic crowds that attend his fights. That he feels like he's an East London fellow by heritage, and that his army, if you like, the Romford Bull supporters, come from all over the country and from Europe, and he draws a great deal of strength from that support. No doubt this will be a very atmospheric fight. I think the capacity of the Copper Box is somewhere around 7,500 people, and I would anticipate that it will be a sold-out event, and that there will be a real groundswell of support, hopefully for both fighters, though Johnny Fisher is famous for having his Romford Bull army with him. He said that he had thought every single night about the rematch, but it took some time. He said he let it fester and breathe. In other words, he allowed it to sort of, he marinated, if you like, upon the issue. But it was when he spoke to his father, and he said, "I can't be a real man if I don't run this back." I'm paraphrasing, but he did say to his dad that it was, these are my words, that, it was important for him and his masculinity and his self-identity as a man for him to get back into the ring with Dave Allen, which I thought was showed a degree of self-awareness from a young fighter. So there we go. The conference was like 25 minutes, possibly a bit more. This is just a synopsis. I thought it was, like I say, interesting. I wish there'd been questions allowed from the media, but it is what it is. I like both fighters. Early doors to say who I would favor. I think emotionally I favor Dave Allen, but we'll have to see nearer to the time. I'll do a review, of course. But anyways, May 17th at the Copper Box. I assume the undercard is going to be announced in due course. These two chaps are going to be the headline fight. So it should be fun. Looking forward to it. Thanks so much for watching. Please like, please share, please subscribe. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. It's awesome to see subscriptions going up. Fabulous, to be perfectly honest. Most importantly, have a fabulous day. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.